it's currently broke.
Alrighty everybody, so let's talk Gen 1 Coyote. So we're all here to talk about boosting your Gen 1 Coyote, whether that be with a root style supercharger, a centrifugal style supercharger, or turbochargers, or maybe even nitrous. Either way of your choosing, let's talk about it and let's say whether to or to not boost your Gen 1 Coyote. Alrighty, so you probably saw a little bit in the intro of the video with my purple car. I have two S197s. I have my silver one here, which is a naturally aspirated stock 6R80 Gen 1 car, 2013. And then I also have a T56 swap 2013 that has twin turbos from On3 Performance, twin 60 mils. And so I got a little bit of backstory, a little bit of history with boosted Coyotes, not just Gen 1s, but I have worked on some Gen 2 cars and even some Gen 3 cars. So I got a little bit of history and knowledge on the platform. And I'm also a Ford technician, so I do that for a living. So I got a general knowledge about Coyote motors. And that leads us into the Gen 1 platform. So I've been around Gen 1s for about 2 years now, working on my personal cars and other cars. And so I'm just gonna go over some like do's, don'ts, should you boost it, should you not boost it, and at what mileage you should really look out for having a boosted Coyote Mustang. So as far as mileage goes, we'll start with that. Mileage really doesn't matter that much. I've seen cars at 180,000 miles get root style blowers, some Roush blowers, some Whipples, stuff like that, get tossed on them and absolutely take it. You know, that 8 PSI on 93 level, absolutely tanking it. And it honestly ends up working out pretty well for a long time. My overall experience so far is this car has 130-ish thousand miles. My other one has 60-ish thousand. The booster one's at 60,000. The only thing I've done to that car is billet oil pump gears from Boundary and crank sprocket and brand new timing chains and guides. Other than that is a fully stock Gen 1 Coyote motor. No real issues, 5W50 in it. We are on 8 pounds of boost. On 93 for the most part, I have turned it up to about 10. And even then it's still not that fast or that crazy at that power level, but it does do well and it seems to be fairly reliable. Tuners are gonna make a big difference in this. Honestly, now a lot of Coyote tuners are really good. I'm currently through Lund. I don't really have any issues with them. They seem to be pretty good. They got my tune dialed in within about a week of data logging, and that's working around my busy work schedule and theirs. And we got it dialed in pretty well. I like them as a tuner, and the cars seem to be pretty good so far. It isn't on E85 yet, but once you move into that E85, start really getting more power, upwards of 700 wheel horsepower to the Gen 1s, that's when you start looking into your tune's really strong, how much boost you're running, everything like that. But as far as mileage goes, boost them hoes whenever. We'll go at this shot now because A, a little bit more shade, and B, the purple car is back there. So I want to move on to boost levels. Where do you expect power-wise and boost to be at on these cars? So as far as it goes, what I've heard and seen a lot of is turbos a little bit more reliable in the most cases because you have adjustable boost control, which could be a bad thing because you kind of get like, you know, finger happy on that boost controller sometimes, want to turn it up, especially if, you know, close race you want to win, you want to turn it up. But honestly, the hit, the linear, especially if a single turbo, on a 6R80 car, honestly, these cars tend to live a long time at that 8 pounds range. 6 to 8 pounds of boost, you're normally gonna be really fine on 93 as long as you got good fuel and as long as you got a good tuner. The cars are gonna love it. You're gonna look at that 580 to 630-ish wheel horsepower range around there. For most cars, I mean, some cars are dyno queens, but honestly, I'm a big fan of saying dyno numbers really don't matter as much. It's more about the track times and the performance times you're trying to get out of those numbers. As far as I go, I run my car about 8.5 pounds on gate most of the time, and that does great on the street for me as far as it goes, and it's probably, like I said, Lund says it's probably anywhere between 6 and 650 wheel, depending on how happy the motor in the car is, but that seems about ballpark where the car's at, and it tends to like it. I've met guys with Roush setups. They run anywhere between 8 and 10 pounds of boost as well. Whipple's the same. A lot of guys on nitrous normally aren't spraying more than like a 200 shot, and even then they're pretty, I guess, conservative. I don't know as much about the nitrous stuff. I haven't dabbled in that too much. But as far as your boosted, your Centuries, like your Paxtons, your Whipples, your Roushes, your On3s, your BL Fabs, everything like that. I've seen a lot of people in that 6 to 8 range on pump 93. They're enjoying the car and they're having it for a good long time. Of course, the wear and tear on the motor does go up. So regardless, you're gonna be wearing your engine out faster. If you're a higher mileage car, like I talked about before, you can expect the life expectancy to be lower, but still not bad, honestly. These cars are pretty tanky as far as that goes. But as far as that goes, speed-wise, I will have to say, That 650 number is no longer super impressive nowadays, as bad as it is, and I hate saying it. It isn't that fast of a number anymore by modern standards. I mean, you got to look at, you know, you're running door to door with the new GT500 with headers. No tune, no pulley header GT500s. F80, G80, M3s, downpipe tune, especially if they got a big turbo, port injection, anything like that. You can expect to maybe be close if you're good at shifting. If you got a 6R80 car on 10 pounds, you should be good for the most part, unless they got like E30 or E in the tank, anything like that. Stock supercars, honestly, I've ran with a Huracan before, not too big a deal. But as far as your more modified things, you know, your C7s, Z6s with, you know, lids and pulleys and headers, you're getting gapped. I'm sorry. Just is what it is. Start messing with a lot of S550s with the Whipples and stuff like that, especially 10-speed cars, you're probably not going to fare too well. Gen 2 cars, the purple car over there handled a 2.9 Whipple T56 car pretty well. You can go back on the channel and see us dig racing down at Coyote, and so it does fairly decent there. I've also ran against Paxton Century blower cars with the turbo setup. I typically top end those cars pretty hard, and so that's why I lean a little bit more turbo with the boost. It's not bad. I like the way the Centuries kind of stay linear. It's definitely more tame for the street, but the turbos seem to be more up top, and that's where Coyotes really shine, is the higher RPMs. Normally on my twin kit, I don't really experience very much fall off, and I've revved to 8,000. But I have seen other people have different experiences depending on turbo sizing, what kit you run, and overall, essentially how your car is tuned. Now, the one thing that doesn't really get mentioned as much is cost of boost and how much it's really gonna run you on a Gen 1 Coyote. Rough estimate of is about $10,000-ish to put a used on 3 kit, the fuel injectors, the booster pump, the fab work, everything like that on my on 3 kit, and I paid $2,200 originally for the kit. So you got some leeway. It goes really drastic, I guess. You can buy a brand new kit from like Paxton for like, say, I think they're around $6,500. You can get them on sale occasionally to $7,000, $7,500. That's a good deal for boost. It's gonna do well on your vehicle. I kind of now say to refrain from buying used kits, because a lot of times used kits are missing parts and it comes with like hidden headaches, fees, and everything like that. Sometimes tuners have issues tuning them. I was running into that issue because I had a custom cold side, and my cold side was bigger than the traditional on 3, and so we were having to deal with that because not knowing the exact diameter of the pipes just causes a lot of headache in between. But as far as, you know, boost pricing goes, it is upper. I came from Hondas, so I had a boosted Accord. Boosted Hondas definitely are way cheaper than boosted Mustangs are, and that's just to be expected. The platforms are way more expensive. As far as fun for dollar though, absolutely cannot beat it. It's one of my favorite platforms to have boosted, especially Gen 1 cars, S197s. So much fun. Even if they're 3 valves, you might be slow, but at least they're more fun than the 240 wheel horsepower it came with originally. But yeah, I mean, price of boost, it really depends. Nitrous is gonna be your cheapest, but nitrous is gonna be really, really tune related and tune specific. And honestly, really and truly, it's really more reliable probably because you're not spraying 24/7. As far as turbos go, like I said earlier, the twins do fine. The singles are really good if you're not trying to shoot for crazy, crazy power, but I've seen some, you know, 8 and 7 second single cars doing pretty good out there, making 1,500 horsepower on built motors and built trans. And the single kits are definitely way easier to install than the twin kits. And then probably the best as far, like I said, is streetability and install is probably your ProCharger kits. ProChargers, Vortex, Paxton, stuff like that is probably gonna be your easiest to install and just run on the car and slap it together, throw a tune on from a generic tuner, you know, data log it, get it out, and enjoy the car. Probably gonna do the best. Like I said, the twins, kind of funky, but then again, also, we're kind of limited. We really only have like Hellion and then on 3 for our twin setups, and honestly, both of them I haven't heard great things about. I run the on 3, but like I said, mine is heavily modified to make everything work well and the way I want it to, and it all plays a factor into what you want to build the car to be. I feel like there's going to be some like questions about like stick shift versus auto. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm not the biggest fan of stock MT82 cars. I broke mine when I was pretty high effort in a full bolt-on setup, and that kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, of course, as it does when you have to spend $7 grand on a T56 swap pretty early on in ownership of the vehicle. Now this car behind me, like I said, is a 6R80 2013 car. I really enjoy it. I used to be a 6R hater, but honestly, after driving this car a lot, I prefer them over 10 speeds. You can argue with me in the comments, but they shift nicer and drive nicer on the street. 6R80 cars will take a lot. Honestly, a converter in one of these things, and they will take an absolute beating. I genuinely believe a well-kept 6R80 might outlive the Gen 1 as far as a boosted setup goes, as long as you're not being an idiot with one. And then as far as the MT82s, Calimer MT82s, I've seen some really fast Calimer cars on stage 3s. I would probably say to skip 1 and 2s if you go that route and you're like, all right, I want to boost and keep an MT82. Probably better for your drivability, or TR6060. But as far as stick shift stuff goes, you're going to realize you are going to be slower boosted versus these 6R cars. But at that lower power level, when you're stock Gen 1, off a roll, it's really not gonna be that much noticeable, especially if you have like a watt box and no lift shift, and you can shift fast, you got a good clutch in it. Normally, it's not gonna be as noticeable. Once you get in that higher power level, like I'm talking built motor cars, you're probably gonna realize very quickly that the autos are gonna be faster. You're probably gonna be able to run 8s way faster on autos. But it's not gonna be that noticeable at the stock power levels of the Gen 1. So the Gen 1 itself, you know, a 6R80 car versus a manual car, you might, once you get upwards of 700, you're gonna start really noticing it, probably more. But as far as your lower level power boosted cars, I honestly think if you enjoy driving manual, you should keep it manual. If you got a Paxton car or something like that, or a blower car, I really enjoy the fact of a manual setup. I feel like that's just probably more fun to drive, especially at probably like that 620 to 650 wheel number. You're probably ripping around pretty fun with a manual car. And honestly, I enjoy my T56 car. Definitely harder to launch, definitely harder to get down, especially with the turbos. But once you get it down, it is no greater feeling. It feels so much better than just putting your foot on the gas and the brake or holding a trans brake. Just being able to dump that clutch and let it eat, pull the front left wheel off the ground, go through the traps. It's so much fun with the stick shift. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much my overall thoughts on boosted Gen 1s. Boosted Gen 1s are fun. They're not gonna be as fast as boosted Gen 2s or Gen 3s. That's just how it's gonna be. You're not gonna be able to make that power safely. A lot of people send it and make that power. I'm gonna be pushing the platform. I'm gonna see if I can't get 900 wheel horsepower to my 60,000 mile Gen 1. Might do a little bit of refreshing, but yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it for today's video. I thank y'all so much for clicking on the video and watching. And if you would like to see more Gen 1 Coyote stuff, as well as SM95 and New Edge stuff, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn those notifications on. Please click that like button. Hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. Peace out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I'm getting ready to go to the gym, and I just filmed that whole video on pre-workout, so I hope I was not just straight rambling. Drop a comment down below.